Avengers Endgame and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker were probably the most anticipated movies of 2019. To varying degrees of success, they culminated in the end of a massive saga that spanned multiple movies. But I have to say that, whenever I watch The Rise of Skywalker, I can't help but think that they ripped off several moments in Endgame, and throughout this video we're going to be examining certain scenes side by side and discussing the similarities to draw a conclusion over whether this is the case or not. Now obviously there will be heavy spoilers here, so if for some stupid reason you haven't watched some of the biggest movies of all time, then I recommend that you turn off now and sort your life out. Now make sure you subscribe and the force will be with you, and please drop a thumbs up if you love the channel 3000. With that out of the way, as always, this is the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, now let's get into our breakdown. Okay, so Avengers Endgame currently holds the spot as the highest grossing movie of all time. Though I think that the public perception of it has slightly waned since its release, no one can deny that it at least stuck the landing and pulled off the impossible task of wrapping up a 20 film plus franchise with a sensational send-off. I absolutely love the film and still get goosebumps during its key scenes, and I feel like it's the perfect closing of the book on some incredible characters. Juxtaposing this, I left Rise of Skywalker completely disappointed, and to me the film feels like it fumbles the characters, has several logic leaps, and just seems so disjointed that it's up there with probably my least favourite movies in the saga. But what went wrong? Well, the movie was Darth Plagueist with issues, and after Disney fired Colin Trevorrow, they returned to J.J. Abrams in the hopes of saving one of their tentpole franchises. Palpatine wasn't even supposed to be in the film originally, and we know from recent interviews with Daisy Ridley that she didn't even know about being related to the character up until the last minute. The majority of the final act was reshot, and I believe that after the success of Endgame, the creative team decided to copy their comic book cousins in order to emulate their triumph. Now though I'll never be able to prove this, let's start at the top and go through things. Now The Last Jedi and Infinity War left the heroes feeling like they were at a loss. Both the Avengers and Rebels were almost wiped out by the antagonists, and this left them in a really vulnerable position for the beginning of the next movie. This often happens in film sagas, and I don't think that you can say it's something that Marvel really made up. However, it's from these springboards that things start to get closer in the following films. Now both Endgame and Rise deal with an enemy thought long dead coming back from the grave in order to quote unquote restore the universe. In Endgame, Thanos is killed early on in the movie, and after a huge 5-year time jump, he returns through time travel. With Rise we see the return of Emperor Palpatine, a character thought long dead who's returned through cloning. Though I have no idea why he picked a body with half the fingers missing that looks like Prince Philip. But never mind. Now the heroes in the film have to travel across time and space in order to locate several MacGuffins to save the universe, and I'll let them off for having storylines in which they have to move from place to place tracking down specific items. Those plot motifs pop up in a lot of films, but it's when we get into the final act that things really start to become eerily similar. Before we play the clips though, I just want to give a huge shout outs to YouTube channel Dim for putting these edits together, and if you want to watch them without my annoying accent, then they're linked in the description below. Now the first scene in the finale deals with the heroes being seemingly defeated. In Endgame it's after Thor, Iron Man and Captain America have just been beaten by Thanos, and in Rise of Skywalker it's after Palpatine has just taken down Rey and Ren. The villains in the piece both summon their army, and in Endgame we watch as Thanos' forces come down from his ship, the Sanctuary 2. In Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine's Star Destroyers rise from the planet, and this makes it seem like things aren't going to be easy for the heroes. Now in both scenes, no matter what way you look at it, there's one hero left standing. Both Poe and Captain America face almost insurmountable odds, and they stare out over the battlefield looking completely defeated. From here, one of the allies radios in, and then arrives with an entire fleet to help out. They even have a point where John Boyega and Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, appear on screen at the same time. I think it's almost shot for shot at some point, with several characters from the franchises returning in order to save the day. I'll shut up for a second though, and let's play the clip so you can decide for yourself.
Snap, they're on your tail! Yeah, I see him! No, snap! friends. I'm sorry. I thought we had a shot. There's just too many of them.
But there are more of us, Poe. There are more of us.
Look at this. Look at this. Lando, you did it! You did it! Hit those underbelly cannons! Everyone we knock out is a world saved! That's fine, Lando. What did they make all this photograph? Sort of Navy seals, doesn't it? Keep on back! 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 So long, Skytrash! Who's that choir?
Next is the big charge scene, in which the heroes, now united, run at the enemy forces. Okay, so I don't even think you can argue that they're pretty much the exact same moment, which in my opinion has been completely copied by Rise. The heroes rush forward, and we give focus to several characters as they charge at the antagonists. Though the prior clip we showed could be argued as just being a coincidence, I think when you see these two in a row, it becomes so obvious. And it gets worse from there.
Is anyone else seeing this?
I got this! Oh, I got this! Okay, I don't got this! Help! Somebody help! Hey, Queens. Heads up.
Now in this scene we see the villain unleashing their overpowered weapon, which completely decimates the entire fleet of heroes. In Endgame it's the guns on Thanos' ship, and in Rise it's Palpatine's lightning that brings down a multitude of ships. There's even a crazy point in which a tornado and a bolt of lightning are shot into the air, and in both versions one hero must step forward in order to stop it from destroying everything. This leads us into our next clip, in which one hero faces down against the villain of the piece, and I think it's the most obvious culprit in terms of copying. Now yeah, completely obvious, and it's so bad that when I was in the cinema I could hear people laughing about it and saying "I am Iron Man" just before the line was dropped by Rey. The timing of the delivery is almost beat for beat, And the fact that these lines are set up by all the Sith and inevitable jabs delivered by the villain, I think is beyond ridiculous. This is pretty much the exact same scene, and when you learn about what the climax was originally meant to be like, I think it becomes more and more obvious that the team behind Star Wars attempted to ape what they'd seen in Endgame. Originally, the film was supposed to end with Rey actually seeing the Jedi, and reportedly Samuel L. Jackson, Hayden Christensen, and Ewan McGregor filmed things against a green screen, which would then be dropped over the moment in which she reaches out to the Jedi. This scene is far too similar to not have been deliberately done, especially when we know that the majority of the reshoots for the finale took place after Endgame had been released. It's one of them ones that, if you were bothered about plagiarism, you would remove in reshoots and redo, as it's so similar that people would obviously pick up on it. From here, Rise also echoes Endgame massively, as the villain is then turned to dust, as are their forces. Across the board we get this line by the hero, and then there are actions that completely decimate the enemy's forces, but with Endgame it makes sense because we already know how the snap works, whereas with Palpatine it doesn't make that much sense, as only his troops are targeted. Those are the most striking similarities, I think, and when they're all laid out side by side, it becomes obvious what happened. But why did Disney do this, especially when they own the rights to both movies? Well, I think therein lies the how and why. Disney were well aware that there would be no legal repercussions for doing something so similar, as it's not like Marvel would sue Lucasfilm with them being under the same corporation. What I think happened is that Disney realised that the Rise of Skywalker was a complete disaster due to its troublesome production. Whether it's the firing of directors, the numerous script changes, or the insane amounts of backpedaling that they had to do in order to fix The Last Jedi, things were always only gonna go one way. In the end, I think that they panicked, and after seeing the success of Endgame, they realised that in order to save one of their highest grossing properties, they had to make things as similar as they could to Marvel. Thus, they ordered reshoots and placed in rewrites that would be closer to something that many fans viewed as the best way to end a saga. Though this makes sense on paper, what we're left with in my opinion is a film that pales in comparison to the movie that it's trying to emulate, and it speaks volumes to what things are like at Lucasfilm. The studio is often accused of dropping the ball and having no real plan in place, and I think this is further cemented by the similarities that we've just presented to you. Now I'm sure everyone is going to have an opinion on this, and some of you will agree whilst others won't. All we can do is present the evidence, give our thoughts, and then let you make your own mind up, but make sure you drop your conclusion in the comment section below. I'd love to read it, and if you enjoyed this video then please drop a thumbs up, and make sure you check out our breakdown of the WandaVision trailer, which is going to be linked at the end. We go over all the insane details, so definitely check it out after this. We're also giving away a free copy of the Christopher Nolan collection, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. The winner is going to be chosen at random on the 30th of September, so make sure you get involved. If you want to support the channel and get to see content early, then please consider clicking the join button below. You can also come chat to us on our Discord server, linked in the description, or heavy spoilers on Twitter. Thanks for making it until the end of the video. You've been the best. I've been Paul, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.